video, and today we're going to be making a weapons rating system. This is going to be much like the Legends tier list that I did. We're going to be doing a 1 out of 10 rating, and I'm going to be going pretty quickly through all of the weapons since there are probably twice as many, if not more, weapons than there are Legends, so I don't want to have a 30-minute video. So let's get right into it. First up, we have the Mozambique. You can do pretty good damage with the Mozambique with the hammer points, and that's the only thing that could possibly save this weapon from being absolutely trash. Mozambique is notorious for being terrible, worst gun in the game, and I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10. Next up, we have the Peacekeeper. Peacekeeper is an amazing weapon, seen constantly in high-level play and low-level play. If you're anyone but me, you hit at least 100 with it per shot. I can only hit like 13 or so, but most people can get a pretty good PK shot most of the time. So we're going to put the PK at a 9 out of 10. So next up, we have the EVA 8. The EVA 8 is the more consistent version of the Peacekeeper, in my opinion. It's definitely not better, but it can consistently hit 40, 50, 60. So we're going to give the EVA 8 a 6 out of 10. I think it's pretty slept on. I wouldn't put the double tap on it, but overall EVA 8 is a decent weapon. So coming over here, we have the RE45. The RE45, in my opinion, is a pretty terrible weapon. I don't like it, and I don't know, it's not a very good weapon. It's decent off drop just because it's better than the P2020 and Mozambique. But overall, this is never used late game because it's just terrible. So we're going to give the RE45 a 3 out of 10. So next up, we have the P2020. P2020 is terrible off spawn. It's the worst gun in the game to get off spawn. I would probably prefer Mozambique just because this does 13 damage per shot, which is really terrible. But after you crack the shield, you can hit them with the hammer points, and it makes up for it. That's the only reason this weapon is used. And overall, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. Without the hammer point, this is easily the worst gun in the game, and I would put it at a 0 out of 10. I would never pick it up, ever. So next up, we have the R301. The R301 is a fan favorite. Tons of people love this weapon, and for a good reason. It's a very reliable assault rifle, and it does solid damage with little to no recoil. So you can see high fire rate, decent damage. The recoil can be a little weird towards the final shots. It gets a lot of horizontal recoil. But overall, with the Anvil receiver hop-up, it can be a very, very good weapon. As you can see, it does 70 to the head, and it shoots very fast. The Anvil is a lot faster. 30 body shot, solid weapon. Overall, we are going to give the R301 an 8 out of 10. So next up, we have the R99. This is personally my favorite weapon. It's the weapon I use all the time. It's seen constantly in high-tier ranked games especially. It can be very rewarding if you hit your shots with it. A lot of people struggle since it does have a lot of recoil, as you can see. But overall, it's one of the most rewarding guns to use if you can hit your bullets. I'm going to give the R99 a 10 out of 10. Top weapon in Apex Legends. Next up, we have the Alternator. The Alternator is pretty slept on, I believe. It does solid damage. I don't even mind it off drop. I think it's a very good weapon to land on. It gives you a pretty good chance. As long as someone doesn't get like a Peacekeeper or something, you will usually be able to hold your own with the Alternator. I do believe it's a pretty solid weapon, so we're going to give the Alternator a 6 out of 10. Could be better, but I think it is pretty slept on. So next up, we have the G7 Scout. The G7 is completely busted and doesn't even need the hop-up. I think the hop-up's useless, but the G7 is absolutely busted. Best gun in the game right now. It's constantly being used, especially in a squad setting where an entire squad will have a G7 and you can't even rotate. It's easily the most frustrating gun to go up against. That's why I'm going to give the G7 a 10 out of 10. Probably the best weapon in Apex Legends. Incredibly frustrating to fight against, and the high rate of fire matched with the damage down range is absolutely absurd, and it lets you deal way too much damage in such a short period of time that the gun is broken. Wingman. So the wingman is probably one of the most rewarding weapons in the game if you can hit your shots. I believe that this gun is definitely very, very high skill cap. I think if you actually hit all of your shots with it, then it can be one of the most rewarding weapons in the game. I love the wingman personally. Sometimes the hit registration could feel a little bit off, especially on console. It's much better on PC, but overall, the wingman is a very solid choice, and we're going to give the wingman a 9 out of 10. So next up, we have the Spitfire. The Spitfire is pretty much a noob weapon. It has such a high magazine count, such a high clip size, that a lot of people love to use it because, as you can see right here, you know, you don't actually have to aim with it. It's not difficult. Where's the moving target? Right there. Okay. You can, look at that. I mean, that's ridiculous. Yeah, you guys get the point. Not high damage, per se. But the clip size makes up for it. Very slow strafe speed overall. Not using high ranked, but very solid weapon. We're going to give the Spitfire an 8 out of 10. So next up, we have a Prowler. The Prowler is very good right now. I think it's the best SMG in the game. I think it outshines the R99 even without the select fire. My bad. People don't think that it's good without the select fire, but as you can see here, the amount of damage in the 5-round burst is absurd. It still does very good full auto. The recoil on it's a little bit weird, hard to control downrange, but overall with the 35 clip size and high damage per second, the Prowler is the best SMG in the game and a 10 out of 10. Next up, we have the Hemlock. Hemlock, if you're using it as an assault rifle, you're using it wrong. You know, it's solid damage or whatever, but the way the Hemlock is being used is single fire, long range, like the G7. It can test the G7. It does a ton of damage, fast fire rate. You can really rattle off shots, as you can see, high damage downrange, and overall, this is a very slept-on weapon, and a lot of people aren't using it. So we are going to give the Hemlock a 9 out of 10. And here we have the Flatline. The Flatline with the Anvil. I think the Anvil is very slept on as well. As you can see, 86 to the head. That's ridiculous. 43 body shot. It's like a longbow. The Flatline's very good. High rate of fire on the Anvil as well. Definitely higher than snipers. Full auto has good damage as well. Struggles at range and medium to long engagements, but overall high damage on the Flatline. We're going to give the Flatline an 8 out of 10. Next up, we have the Sentinel. The Sentinel is probably the worst sniper in the game. I thought it was going to be good, but not even the charged up shot can really save it. I think it does too little damage. As you can see, it does 65 body shot. I think, in my opinion, to make this a viable sniper, it should do at least 75, just because the damage per second is very, very low. It's not as rewarding if you hit it. I mean, it's more rewarding than any other sniper if you hit a headshot, but it's very, very slow since it's a bolt, and the overall damage is not impressive. We're going to give the Sentinel a 5 out of 10. Next up, we have the Charge Rifle. I think the Charge Rifle is amazing still. I think it's the concept of the Charge Rifle itself being a hit scan. I think it's very slept on. As you can see, it does over 100 damage per burst if you hit it in the head. 116, that's absurd. Very, very good weapon. No damage fall off, or there is damage fall off, sorry. It's a hit scan, so there's no bullet drop, which makes lasering people from 100 meters plus pretty easy if you have the right sight on it. So Charge Rifle, we're going to give a 6 out of 10. I could even go 7 out of 10 because I personally like it. Next up, we have the Longbow. Longbow is, in my opinion, very slept on. Best sniper in the game. It was always very good in my opinion. I don't know. I don't think they ever really... they didn't nerf it, but I don't know. It came back this season strong. As you can see, 118 to the head, which is a lot. And the body shots are 55 as well. 4-shot kill. Very good gun, and in my opinion, the best sniper in the game. So we're going to give the Longbow a 9 out of 10. Next up we have the triple take. Triple take is also a solid choice. I know a lot of people like it, but personally I'm not a big fan. I don't like the way the gun feels, and I don't like what it hits for me. So you can see 69, I don't know, maybe that, I mean that's good for a body shot obviously, but I don't know. It's just not my favorite, but I know people like it, so we're going to give it a 7 out of 10. Next up we have the Kraber. I don't even know if gold weapons count, but Kraber is obviously amazing because of the one-shot potential that it has. And with that being said, you know, if you get shot in the head by a Kraber and go down immediately, your team's probably dead. So we're going to give the Kraber a we're going to give it a 10 out of 10, just because I feel like the gun is ridiculous. Next up we have the Mastiff. The Mastiff is 10 times better than the Peacekeeper. It falls off a little bit in range, but it shoots probably twice as fast with twice as much damage. Mastiff, I don't even know what else to say about it. If someone has a Mastiff, you basically just run away from them. It's devastating in the last circle, and probably the best gun in the game, in my opinion. Next up we have the Devotion. I'm going to give the Devotion a 9 out of 10. As you can see, it does an insane amount of damage. Just by that, that's ridiculous. Pretty busted gun, but overall, I don't think it's too overpowered. The recoil is a lot to handle. It does an insane amount of damage, and if someone tries to push you and you have a Devotion, it's not going to be very good for them. So we're going to say Devotion is a 9 out of 10. And here we have the Havoc. I think the Havoc is pretty slept on. I know a lot of people use it, but I don't know. I know energy weapons got nerfed. A lot of people say that the Havoc is better. That's just simply wrong. It lost the turbocharger, and something else happened. It got nerfed in another. Oh yeah, the magazine size. Obviously, I believe it used to be what, 36 or 48 or something. It was something ridiculous for the purple mag. But either way, I think it was 36. Either way, it does high damage, long range. Havoc is an amazing choice. We're going to say the Havoc is an 8 out of 10. I think since it got nerfed, it can't be considered anything higher than that. Without the turbo, it is not as good. L-Star, another energy weapon that got nerfed. People think it's better, but that's just plain wrong. If you check the patch notes, it got a damage reduction, and it now turned into floor loot. I think the L-Star was never appreciated before. It did more damage than what it does now, and people don't realize that. But overall, L-Star is a decent gun. Not my favorite. I feel like the bullets just disappear. That's just my personal preference. I know a lot of people like it and would rate it higher than me, but I think when someone strafes real fast, it can be very, very difficult to hit shots with the L-Star. It really does seem like your bullets just disappear. So we're going to give the L-Star a 6 out of 10. I do believe that I was pretty generous for a lot of the weapons on here, but I do believe that, you know, most of the weapons in the game are pretty good. I think you can make a solid case for all of them, like the Flatline. I think every heavy weapon in the game is a solid choice, except for the Spitfire. In my opinion, I wouldn't use it, but in low tier games, it for sure is, as well as almost all the light weapons, with the RE45, P2020, and Alternator being exceptions. The R3, R9, and G7 are all solid choices. I'm not a shotgun guy, but yeah, I do believe that the weapons are all pretty balanced in this game, with the exception of the G7, and I'm happy where the game is at currently. So if you feel like I messed up any rating, just comment below. Feel free to tell me which weapon I might have rated too low or too high, and just give me a quick explanation why. Don't just dislike the video because I rated one of your weapons poorly. Say you're a big L-Star fan, but I gave it that rating. Don't just dislike the video for no reason. Instead comment, you know, talk to me a little bit. And yeah, so that being said, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.